I'm feeling a bit messy today. I mean, I definitely look at Live, and for some reason my audio recorder is sticky in like a total way. Like, I don't understand how it could have happened. Either a goopy creature got its hands on it, or like I'm wondering if maybe like dust that had been on it like somehow melted. It has been like getting hot lately, and it has just been kind of sitting in storage for a couple weeks in the heat. Anyway, gross. Misinformation. Alrighty, today we're talking about Hereditary. It's a movie. You've probably heard about it. A lot of people love it, in my opinion, way too much, but we'll get into that. And a lot of people are so-so on it. I think, when this movie came out, this was Ari Aster. I think it's Ari Aster. This was kind of, I don't know if this was his sophomore or his directorial debut or I don't know how they gender identify, but it's one of those movies that I think is like, it's pretty good, but it doesn't quite hit the mark. And then Midsummer came out, and Midsummer really does hit the mark. Though before Midsummer came out, I know, so many people around me would not hear it, that this movie was not actually that good. Because what it did well, it did really well. It nailed it. And I think it's rare to see any art project nail anything, so to have it be at a top tier at certain points, I think made people blind to the fact that about half the movie is kind of trash. Welcome to Misinformation. It's a channel, it's a show where I guess I talk about the underwriting, less in-your-face messages, hidden themes, and sometimes kind of heavy-handed in-your-face messages and themes, as we'll get into today. Smile. So what is this movie about? It's about the cycle of domestic abuse that spans generations often, as if that cycle were itself hereditary. Wouldn't you know? Name of the movie. Abuse is not genetically inherited, but it is a cycle of trauma that can continue and repeat across generations. An abused person or an abused child, is affected by the way they are raised, by the way the adults around them teach them to behave, and that can and usually does impact how you treat and behave other people, and sometimes that causes you to repeat the cycle in your own life, and other times it causes you to do the exact opposite. There's not really a hard and fast rule for any of this, and I'd be crazy to claim anything with any certainty here. Now, the conceit of this movie, it's a horror movie, so it sets the stage to treat abuse as a curse, which, that's kind of a good a narrative mechanism to use for talking about abuse in a horror movie. Makes sense. The character that Toni Collette plays, her mom, it's heavily insinuated, was an abusive woman to her children.
I recognize you from your mother.
What? Sometimes I swear I can feel them in the room.
Oh my God, what's that?
And for the first half of the movie, after the death of the kind of older matriarch of the family, Toni Collette's mother, she begins to take on these abusive attributes and starts kind of shooting up red flags for her own behavior. She is not recognizing those red flags, but is kind of putting her children through some of what her mom put her through. It seems that the curse is being passed down, if you will, from the death of her grandmother, or of her mother to her, now to her children. She begins acting increasingly cruel and aggressive towards her own family. At one point, she beats up her own son right before then melting down out of guilt and insisting that, of course, she loves him and would never hurt him.
I'm stopping this. Do not tell Dad what you just said to me. Do not, okay? Because it is not true. Something is happening, and I'm the only one who could stop it. Do you understand? I'm the only one who can fix this.
That's textbook abuser behavior.
No! nobody admits anything they've done!
You could say that this is a little heavy-handed so far in the movie, but I would say, it is textbook abuser behavior. It's a great way to talk about this theme, this notion of the cycle of abuse and how it can be hereditary. Good on ya, Ari Aster. No notes so far. Whoop-de-do. Great job. You're communicating a message. It's hiding under the surface there, but it's legible to those who wanna find it. And of course, other examples of this abuse.
What's wrong, baby? What's happening?
What are you doing?
What do you mean?
You were pulling on my head!
What? No, I wasn't. I just came in. You were screaming. What happened?
But then the nature of this curse suddenly changes. And this is where the movie kind of goes off the rails for me. It loses its own point. It has a message it is clearly trying to communicate, and a theme of tying abuse to the hereditary nature of such cycles. A little bit of word salad there for you. Scrumptious. I hope you enjoyed it. But the messaging and the themes are so clear, and then all of a sudden,
I recognize you from your mother.
What?
Ann Dowd enters the picture. And I love Ann Dowd as an actor. She, as far as a performer in this movie, does an amazing job. But from a writing perspective, this is a terrible choice. Not necessarily having her as a character, but her function in the story of this movie is to bring the curse, the literal curse within this horror movie world, into the home of Toni Collette's family. And the curse was already kind of underway without Ann Dowd's character doing this. So it already is like, what do you need to do here? But because she is an outside force bringing the final points of this curse home to this family, she's not related to anybody in any way. She was just a friend of the grandmother. It really undercuts the obvious whole message that, abuse is a cycle that behaves often like it is inherited, And I know that that's the theme and the message of the movie, beyond doubt, because it's titled Hereditary, and there's no other reason to title the movie that. So then why would you make the inciting thing, the curse that basically the existence of this narrative turns on, it doesn't exist without this curse that is supposed to be hereditary, because that is kind of the message of the movie, and yet it comes from an outside force who is not part of the family, kind of undercutting the notion that this is an internal familial cycle. It's poor writing is what it is. I mean, it was his first movie, but this is somebody needed to give a note here and didn't. And it's Ann Dowd, heavy hitter, complicated two-time villain on multiple HBO shows.
We strip away the colorful diversions that keep us from remembering. I know this must feel very strange.
But yeah, she's not a family member. She's external. No Greek exeno.
Oh, no Greek. No Greek exeno.
So now it's no longer hereditary. From there, we just kind of lose the thread. The movie continues to have plot, and it is a story. You also did a great job of telling us about the theme up to this point.
Mommy, please, I'm begging you to stop.
And then there's the weird puppet king crowning ceremony thing. I'm not sure what that's about or the function.
I can't do this anymore!
Woof. So I guess here we are at the end, and that's, Hereditary is a movie about abuse. And then it's a movie that forgets what it's about, as if the North Star that was its title became obscured by the foggy clouds of the scriptwriter's mind as they entered the voyage of plot. I think this movie is so close to being good. But it isn't. It has this hidden meaning, it has this incredible message that it communicates very well, very legibly, right up until it doesn't. And then it abandons what it's talking about. Now, of course, abuse is still the overriding theme of the movie. That's what you're going to walk away with if you are an attentive viewer. So, good job, Ari, on that. I'd say, better luck next time, but we all know that you did get it next time. You nailed it. Midsommar was great. But overall, it's a movie with a clear message, and I like that the message is clear. I like the message itself. I just don't think the movie follows itself very well. The writing falls apart in it, and it's hitting its own messaging so hard that it is very bizarre when you hit that midway point in the movie, and it just kind of throws what it's talking about out the window and is like, but what about demons, eh? And yeah, we just kind of lose the thread from there. But so it goes. Not every movie is excellent, and it's definitely worth a watch. I wouldn't say you shouldn't watch this movie, but if you end this movie and you're like, that was the best horror movie I've ever seen, you should see some other horror movies. And with that, I am going to do what has become and is becoming the norm of awkwardly looking at the camera because I haven't figured out how to wrap up these videos. Skiddly bop.